We just witnessed an absolute highway robbery in the 5th round of this draft, and I am still shaking my head at how the rest of the league let this happen. Snagging a raw, explosive athlete who registered 7 sacks last season all the way down at pick 166 is the exact kind of draft day miracle that can completely redefine a defense. Lock in with me right now, because we need to talk about why Keyshaun Elliott is the absolute heat-seeking missile this linebacking core has been desperately waiting for. Before we dive deep into the film and facts behind this massive steal, do me a quick favor and absolutely smash that like button, share this video with a fellow diehard fan, and subscribe to the channel so you never miss another breaking update. Are we really looking at a Day 2 talent who miraculously fell right into our laps on Day 3 of the draft? I have been pacing around my living room trying to make sense of how this entire board fell, and the only logical conclusion is that the consensus on this year's prospect pool was completely shattered. There was zero agreement among the experts. Elite draft analyst Dane Brugler actually had Keyshaun Elliott ranked as a top 85 player on his entire master board. Let that sink in for a moment. Other highly respected analysts had him sitting just outside the top 100. The fact that this front office secured him at 166 overall is just a brilliant masterclass in sheer patience. They let the board come to them, they did not panic, and they capitalized on the utter chaos of the weekend. When you look at the incredible value here, it truly feels like all the frustrating, head-scratching reaches we endured earlier in the draft are suddenly evening out. We are getting premium, top-tier value exactly when we needed it most. I honestly did not think there was any mathematical chance this kid would slip past the 3rd round, yet here we are, popping the champagne over a massive Day 3 steal that could pay dividends for years to come. Let us talk about the athletic profile, because this is where things get incredibly exciting and where the film truly jumps off the screen. Keyshaun Elliott is not your granddaddy's linebacker. The days of the 6'5", 250-pound plodding middle linebackers who just blindly smash into offensive guards are over. That era of football is dead and gone. Elliott fits the modern, space and pace mold perfectly. He stands just under 6'2" and weighs in at a rock-solid 230 pounds. But do not let that slightly smaller frame fool you, because this guy is an absolute freak of nature in the open field. When he ran his 40-yard dash, he clocked in at a blazing sub-4.6. A linebacker moving at that velocity is an absolute nightmare for opposing running backs trying to turn the corner on outside zone runs. He also registered a massive 38-inch vertical jump and a jaw-dropping 10'5" broad jump. Do you know what those explosive numbers actually translate to when the pads come on? It means pure, unadulterated closing speed. This man fires out of a 2-point stance like he was shot from a cannon, instantly shrinking the pocket and swallowing up ball carriers. And to top it all off, he even completed the agility testing, which is something a lot of these top-tier defensive prospects are too scared to even attempt nowadays. He tested off the charts in those drills, proving without a shadow of a doubt that he has the fluid lateral quickness to match his devastating straight-line speed. Now, I will always keep it completely real with you guys, because we do not sugarcoat things on this channel. He is not a polished, Day 1 starter in this league just yet. His pass coverage skills need a serious amount of refinement, patience, and professional coaching. If he is matched up one-on-one against a dynamic, pass-catching tight end on a deep crossing route right out of the gate in Week 1, he might struggle to keep his hips flipped and stay in phase with the route tree. But against the run, he is an absolute menace to society. He consistently navigates the muddy traffic of the trenches, locates the football with pinpoint precision, and closes the gap violently to prevent backbreaking gains. And the most tantalizing, drool-worthy part of his game is his natural ability to rush the passer. He racked up 7 sacks last year at Arizona State. 7 sacks from off-the-ball linebacker alignments is no joke. When you start thinking about the different, exotic sub-packages our defensive mastermind Dennis Allen can deploy, a guy like Elliott becomes a deadly, unpredictable weapon on 3rd and long situations. Let's face the harsh facts together. Our front four is not going to magically transform into the most terrifying pass-rushing unit in the National Football League overnight. If you cannot consistently get home with just your down linemen, you desperately need second-level defenders who know how to pin their ears back and hunt the quarterback. Keyshaun Elliott is a natural-born hunter. This selection completely electrifies the linebacker room, and honestly, we are looking at an absolute bloodbath in training camp this summer. You look at the depth chart right now, and the underlying tension is palpable. We already know T.J. Edwards is mathematically locked in. The team is not cutting him, and unless they shockingly trade him away to clear cap space, which would be a wild, unprecedented move, his roster spot is guaranteed gold. We also have to assume that Devin Bush and DeMarco Jackson are undisputed, Sharpa-level locks to make the final 53-man roster. That right there is 3 premium spots completely gone. Then you have to factor in Noah Sewell, who suffered that devastating Achilles tear late last year. We all expect him to start the regular season on the physically unable to perform list while he rehabs. So, if the coaching staff ultimately decides to only keep 5 linebackers going into Week 1, the math gets incredibly tight and incredibly unforgiving. You are essentially looking at a brutal, winner-take-all cage match between Ruben Hippolyte, Jack Sanborn, and now the rookie Keyshaun Elliott for those final, precious spots. Question of the day: do you think Keyshaun Elliott's pure athleticism instantly steals a final roster spot from a proven, hard-nosed veteran like Jack Sanborn, or does the rookie need to spend his first year developing on the practice squad? Let me know your unfiltered, honest thoughts down in the comments below right now. Beyond the raw physical traits and the blazing stopwatch times, the character and intangibles that Keyshaun Elliott brings to the locker room are exactly what this front office heavily covets. We all know how much this organization values high-end football character, and Elliott is absolutely dripping with it. According to Dane Brugler's extensive scouting report, the coaching staff at Arizona State universally described him as an A-plus kid with genuine, grown-man maturity. That is not a hollow compliment they just hand out to anybody who walks through the facility doors. Furthermore, an anonymous NFL scout reported that Elliott is already a total professional when it comes to his relentless work ethic and obsessive film study habits. The scout literally said he wears out the defensive coaches in the best way possible by constantly asking high-level questions and demanding more tape to watch before he goes home. He is widely known as an extra coach out on the field. He was the guy communicating all the complex defensive audibles and ensuring his teammates were lined up perfectly before the snap. Think about the gravity of that for a second. If he can just spend this year developing his pass coverage technique, could he eventually become the brilliant defensive signal caller wearing the coveted green dot on his helmet in the future? The long-term potential is absolutely there, and I am so fired up to see what this defensive staff can mold him into. And let us not forget about the crucial hidden yardage battle. I truly believe his athletic profile makes him a prime candidate to be an absolute demon on special teams from day one. With his vicious tackling ability and sub-4.6 speed, he should be flying down the field like a heat-seeking missile on kickoff and punt coverage. I know I said the exact same thing about Ruben Hippolyte at this time last year, and we are still waiting to see how that fully pans out, but Elliott's sheer explosiveness gives him a massive, incredibly safe floor as a core special teams ace while he learns the complex nuances of playing professional linebacker. When we zoom out, take a deep breath, and look at the entire draft class as a collective whole, things are really starting to come full circle beautifully. Yes, we had some massive, channel-wide freakouts over a few of the early selections yesterday, but the overall blended value we are walking away with is undeniably stellar. Let's quickly recap exactly where we stand. We kick things off by securing Dylan Naiman, the highly versatile safety out of Oregon in round 1. Then we aggressively address the trenches by taking the gritty Iowa center Logan Jones in round 2. After a brilliantly executed slight trade down in the 3rd round, we grabbed Stanford tight end Sam Roush to bolster the heavy offensive packages. Then came the absolute lightning bolt at pick 89, LSU wide receiver Xavion Thomas. The man legitimately ran a 4.28 40-yard dash. He is going to be an absolute offensive weapon, maybe taking gadget snaps at running back, returning kicks, and just doing a little bit of everything to keep defensive coordinators awake at night. Then we secured Texas cornerback Malik Muhammad, a sticky cover guy I thought was absolutely worthy of a day 2 selection. And now, we add the enforcer, Keyshaun Elliott, all the way down at pick 166. If you look at this group objectively, it is a remarkably solid, balanced class that addresses a ton of critical needs with extremely high upside athletes. But despite all of this undeniable excitement, there is one glaring, neon-lit hole that is driving me completely insane right now. We still have picks 239 and 241 left burning a hole in our pockets, and the fact that we have completely ignored the defensive line so far is absolutely baffling. I do not know what to tell you guys, but it clearly seems like the front office absolutely despises the depth of this year's defensive line class. It is just what it is at this point in the weekend. I am genuinely shocked that a talent like LSU quarterback Garrett Nussmeier is still inexplicably sitting there on the board. On the defensive side of the ball, the towering Max Llewellyn is still somehow available. If he miraculously falls to the 7th round, or if the front office decides to aggressively package those 2 late picks to trade back up into the 6th round to draft a situational edge rusher, I would be over the moon. Oklahoma wide receiver Deion Burks is also miraculously still waiting for his phone to ring, which is a very interesting offensive wildcard to keep an eye on as the rounds wind down. I highly doubt they take a massive swing on Harold Perkins given how incredibly crowded our linebacker room just became, but there are still quality, impact football players like Michigan defensive tackle Rayshawn Benny out there who possess the exact physical traits this coaching staff has heavily coveted in the past. Will they finally address the glaring edge rusher spot with these final 2 picks, or are we going to see a shocking, late-round trade to jump back up the board and snatch a falling prospect? We have a long, agonizing way to go until we are back on the clock at pick 239, but the tension is thick enough to cut with a knife. Keep your eyes glued to the screen, because anything can happen in the late rounds. Welcome to the squad, Keyshaun Elliott. Let's get to work.